I'm Miss Littlefield. I am the 3rd grade ELA teacher here at Hamilton Elementary, and today we're going to go over some test-taking strategies that the kids will need in order to perform well on 10 Ready and make sure that they are attacking the questions, making sure they can maintain that rigor and the high level of thought that they will need analytically to answer these questions appropriately. So I have a practice passage here today. What is a spacewalk? It is on a park assessment sample, PARCC. And I have the passage here, and I'm gonna kind of demonstrate for you how we annotate the passage. Before we start annotating the passage, I just want to go over some of these simple steps that we go over every day in class. And it says answering the questions with textual evidence. One of the main things we teach the students to do is to annotate. Annotate is really just giving those simple notes, writing those simple notes throughout the text so that you know what you're reading for understanding, and you are not missing any of the most important parts of the text. It says annotate throughout the passage. Annotate questions before reading the passage. Underline title and label passage either literary or informational. So I'll just stop at this first point. The main thing that the students need to do is to manage their time wisely. When you're taking a test, you know how we've all gotten to the point where we're at that midpoint. They tell you have 45 minutes remaining. You know that you have at least 30 questions left, and you need to keep going, and you need to answer these questions efficiently and effectively and correctly. So you have to make sure you are doing things that will save your time. And I always tell the students, read the question first. Annotate your questions before reading the passage, because on some questions you won't have to read the entire passage. You may only have to read 2 paragraphs from that passage in order to answer, and you will see that later in my demonstration. Reread the passage to double check answers. Reread that passage, check your answers so that you know they are correct before you choose them. The next step, underline textual evidence. That means once you find the question, go back in the passage, find whatever textual evidence connects with that question, and you'll see that demonstrated in a moment when I get to the question. Make connections from the question to the text. All of these tie in together because that textual evidence is the most important thing. If you ever look up any standards for 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, Common Core, 2nd grade, the most important thing is finding textual evidence in the passage so that they connect the ideas and make sure they have evidence to support their answer. One other thing, if you ever need to see any of the test-taking strategies, and this is just for their energy, their focus, things like that, we have one that says relaxed. Read the question carefully. Examine every answer choice before you choose your answer. Label your answer in the passage. That's that textual evidence. Make sure you leave the extra hard ones for later. Don't waste your time trying to answer a question for 20 minutes. You've lost 20 minutes and you still have all those questions remaining. Make sure you manage that time wisely. Always check your work and answer sheet. X out answers or eliminate answers that cannot be right. They're obviously wrong. Erase neatly. Make sure you don't have 2 bubbles that look like they're both for one question, because if you do, the machine and those that are monitoring or answers that are checking the student work, they will mark them wrong if they have more than one answer, and it's not a multiple select problem. Last, don't spend too much time on one question. Don't doubt yourself. Trust your first choice most of the time. And really quickly, let's go ahead and do this demonstration. So this is kind of what the passages will look like when the students get to them. This one is entitled, What is a Spacewalk? The first thing that the students have is I put in brackets over there in blue. I said to underline the title and label it either literary or informational. And I can look at this passage first. This is What is a Spacewalk? That's my title. I'm going to take my pen or pencil. I'm going to underline it really quickly. What is a spacewalk? Then I'm going to look here. I see that they have a text feature, which is caption, because it is information about a photograph. Under it, Ed White was the first American to perform a spacewalk. I can read that right now and tell you that this is informational. Simply write it here. This is your first annotation. Informational text. Now you can keep on going. I know that this is informational. They're giving me facts about astronauts. I have not taken 20 minutes of my test time to read this passage because I have no need to at the moment. And I can keep going. So now, I'm just going to skim through. These are my subheadings if I am testing, and these are my annotations. I'm simply going to box in bold print and subheadings. It is 2 text features in one. It is bold print again and a subheading which lets me know what I am reading. Again, I have not stopped to take time to read this carefully because right now I don't know if I will need to because I'm going to read my questions first. We're going to go on. I don't have any more subheadings. I do see that I have another caption piece here, and I will stop and just simply write caption to remind myself when I go back that if I need any of this information, I can go back to it, and it is bold print, so I will box it in. And I can keep going, and I have another subheading here, which tells me what I'm about to read about next in this one passage, and I can keep going. And I'm gonna scroll up. That's the end of my passage, but I'm gonna go ahead and go to my very first question. First question, it says, part A, what does the word thrusters mean as it is used in paragraph 8 of the passage? I'm going to annotate that question. What I mean by annotate is break the question down and see what the question is really asking me so that I don't waste any time and I am effectively and intentionally answering this question. I'm going to circle my question words, and this is part of our annotation process. We circle the question words. I have bold print here, which I'm going to box in. What does the word thrusters is in bold print. I'm going to box it in. What does the word thrusters mean? That's telling me what I need to look for as it is used in paragraph 8. So they're telling me right now, don't read all of that passage. Only read paragraph 8. And again, the most important thing that any 2nd through 5th grade, on up to high school, middle school, they're looking for textual evidence. And that is what I would write above that because that's where I'm going to find my textual evidence to answer this. So immediately, I've already annotated. I know what I'm looking for, that keyword thrusters. They're telling me to go to paragraph 8. Now, if I can go back to paragraph 8, and the students need to practice doing this. So if you're home, if you're letting them practice on the computers, if they're coming to Saturday school, if they're doing any of that thing, working with a tutor, anything like that, they need to practice doing this. And it is a little time consuming, but the more they practice, the better they will be. So we're going back to paragraph 8. Let me hurry up for you. Let's go to paragraph 8, and we can read. Another way astronauts stay safe during spacewalks is by wearing a SAFER. SAFER stands for Simplified A for EVA or EVA Rescue. SAFER is worn like a backpack. It uses small jet thrusters to let an astronaut move around in space. If an astronaut were to become untethered and float away, SAFER would help him or her fly back to the spacecraft. Astronauts control SAFER with a small joystick like a video game. I did see some important words. And this is again what the students will need to do. This is my sentence with the word that I found and that the question tells me to focus on. Thrusters, I'm gonna circle it. Small jet sounds important. I can circle that. They also told me it's used like they have it like a backpack. Untethered. Okay. And if not, they will float away. But a SAFER would help him or her fly back to the spacecraft. So at this point, I think it would be important for me also to read passage 7. I still didn't take time to read the entire passage because time management is important. When on a spacecraft, astronauts use safety tethers to stay close to their spacecraft. Tethers are like ropes. One end is hooked to the spacewalk. The other end is connected to the vehicle. I'm going to stop there, make my quick annotations. I know that they're talking about tethers. They said tethers are like ropes. They use tethers to stay close to their spacecraft. That keeps them connected to the vehicle. I can move on because I think I have enough information to answer my question now. What does the word thrusters mean as it is used in paragraph 8 of the passage? And really quickly, I'm going to eliminate those obviously wrong answers so that I don't waste any time. What does the word thrusters mean? I know that thrusters cannot mean that ropes that connect. I'm going to eliminate that one. Machines that power, maybe because they said something about a jetpack. C, spacesuits that protect. I don't think they're talking about that. I've already eliminated 2 obviously wrong answers. So I know that it's not just a bag that holds tools because they said a jet. I think B would be my best answer choice. And with this one, we have a part A, part B. Really important to remember, students, if you have a part A, part B question on 10 Ready, you must answer both portions correctly. If you get part A correct and you don't get part B correct, you lose the points for the entire question. They don't do any half credits. That is super, super duper important. And really it's based in that, again, textual evidence. And last but not least, let's go ahead and model answer part B. I have my part B, it's in bold print. Again, I'm gonna box that in, which is a question word. They're looking for details. They're still talking about thrusters. I'm gonna box it in. Which detail from the passage, and we read passage 8, helps the reader understand the meaning of thrusters. Hooked to a space wall. That was tethers. That was in paragraph 7. So I did need to read 7 to know that that is not my correct answer. I'm gonna eliminate that. B is worn like a backpack. That is a possible answer because I know that it is carried in that way by the astronauts. C, fly back to the spacecraft. That's a possible answer because the jetpack, which are the thrusters, will let them do that. Small joystick, that's not an option for me right now. It does not connect with this. So I need to take a moment. Machines that power. It must help the reader understand the meaning of a thruster. And in the passage, if I were to stop and go back, it told me that the thrusters would help me fly back because it is a space that. So my best choice would be to fly back to the spacecraft. Yes, backpack is worn like a backpack, but that does not tell me the function or the meaning of the word thrusters. Again, these are important tips that will help my students and any ELA students from 2nd grade on up through middle school and high school. It will help you learn how to find textual evidence and again attack these difficult questions that we will face on 10 Ready, supporting it with textual evidence. Again, I'm Ms. Littlefield. Thank you so much.